Thank you for joining us on another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast live on a Tuesday night. Date of recording is Tuesday, June 1st, 2021. Welcome to the month of June. Welcome to another episode of Popcorn for Breakfast on a Tuesday night. Like I said, you'll notice if you're watching on the stream that I am by myself, and that is because our old friend Kirk is having some issues, technologically speaking, but that's all right. We had to start the stream by 9:10 or else Facebook was going to throw a fit about it. So here we are, and by we I mean me. Here me are. I'm your co-host Cam. Kirk will be joining us shortly. When I see him pop up on the bottom of the screen there, I'll go ahead and add him in. But I am prepared to do this whole thing by myself if I have to. Actually, let's add him. Kirk, What's up, man?
Oh my goodness, I'm alive.
I was just telling the listeners that I was prepared to do this by myself, which is a lie. So it's a good thing you're here. I may have been prepared from a notes perspective, but from an emotional support perspective, I couldn't. There's no way. But I'd like to now introduce my wonderful co-host, Kirk.
Welcome.
Way to make a dramatic entrance, Kirk. I like it.
You know, I was pretty much resolved to slamming this laptop that's ages and ages years old and driving to you and snuggling up next to you in
my
your little
tiny
frame.
There we go. That would have been good.
Yes. Whether I sat on your lap, whatever it came down to,
whatever
my
it takes,
keys were in my hand. I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get this. So yes.
I dig the commitment, but violence is never the answer, Kirk. Even violence against your laptop, even though sometimes it feels like it is, it's not. But you're here now, and
if anyone
is fine.
Would like to dedicate part of their tax refund to a new laptop for me.
Kirk.
Mine's already spent on kids and such, so yeah. I need your money for a new laptop so that I can get rid of this thing. That'd be great. It'd be wonderful.
It would be awesome. Well, glad to have you, Kirk. I'm glad that I don't have to sit here and talk to nothing for the next hour and a half. So it's good. It's for the best. Did you have a good long weekend, Kirk? Did you enjoy your time off?
It was so great. I feel like I got a lot accomplished. There was some good relaxed time, good family time, and then I painted my kitchen yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, pretty happy with the results. Yeah. Got to see you. You and I won a vicious game of cornhole.
Hotly contested. Yeah, it was intense.
We were dominating for a long period of time, and then we lost our focus. We became too prideful, and we
were
almost
bragging. We were cocky.
Yes, and we almost got destroyed, but just by just the sheer will in us, the competitive will in us, we won. We pulled it off.
We did. It's like they always say in cornhole: don't count your corns before they hold.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly.
I think that's the phrase.
Yes, I have a shirt. Should I grab it?
Yeah, I think we. If that's not a shirt, it will be now because I just made that up, but I love it. But yeah, it was intense. It was good though. So yeah, good long weekend. I feel like Memorial Day was a little bit politically charged this year. I felt like a lot of people were like getting all over the place about Memorial Day, and but I did see, and I don't do the politics. It's not my shtick. But I thought Chris Pratt, who's in our realm of the world, film and entertainment, I thought he had a great post because he was talking about, He takes a lot of flack, really for no reason, because he doesn't really like give hard stances on things. But he had a really nice post about Memorial Day and how a lot of people use the holiday to bash America, which America has its problems, right? And Chris Pratt even said that in his post. But he's like, this is not really the time to do it because it's about the people who are willing to give up their lives for what we have, and we should all be so thankful that people like that exist and have existed and are willing to pay the ultimate price. So I was glad to see that post, but also a good time to get some time away to think about all that. So
I love that. I actually had the great privilege of hearing a 2-star general speak, which I hear those are hard to come by. I don't understand the military, but a 2-star general said, the people who do pay the ultimate sacrifice, what would they be proud of what they gave that sacrifice for, or would they be proud that they gave that sacrifice knowing that people are fighting for what they believe in? So I thought that was pretty cool, kind of in line there with Mr. Chris Pratt.
Yeah. So it was good to see. We've got a huge show, a massive show. We have tons to talk about. We've got a huge movie review this week on this week's shows. If you're listening on the stream, you'll get to hear the review. If you're not, if you're listening in podcast form, come back on Friday for the review. It's Cruella, the live. Oh, look, Kirk's got his little Dalmatian there. Always with the props, Kirk. I really respect it. I mean, technology issues, the whole nine, but you're here with props and you're ready to go. I love to see it.
Yes. I don't know which one this is, but this is one of the 101 Dalmatians.
Probably Lucky?
Maybe. There's no tag. It's China. This is China, actually. Here we go.
China, yeah.
This is China.
I remember that one. That was a good one. Yeah. So it should be a fun show, fun review. We're going to wrap up the show. This is what I'm really excited about. Schoolyard Pick of Disney villains.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about that later, but that'll be a ton of fun. We've also got, this has been a bananas week in movie and TV news, I feel like. Weird stuff I didn't expect, weird controversies we're going to talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it should be a fun episode. We've got really no time to waste. So Kirk and Lucky, I assume that's Lucky, with your permission, I would like to kick off What's Poppin'.
Oh, 1 second. Yes, you may pop it up.
Yes. All right, let's get started. All right, let's just start with this one. Can we just start with the Ellie Kemper controversy? Because I want to talk about this. I want to talk about it because I feel like, and for those of you who are not up to date on this, Twitter basically caught fire last night about...
As it always does.
Yeah. That's always on fire about something. But the most recent victim of the fire, I suppose, was Ellie Kemper. And I was surprised to see her name trending. I was like, oh, what's she been cast in? Let me just take a look. And then I was like that gif of Donald Glover whenever he walks into the room holding the pizza and there's like fire. That's what going into that Twitter trend was like. Basically, it was like I was reading all these things that like Ellie Kemper's a KKK princess. Ellie Kemper's a KKK queen. All this stuff, and I was like, "Whoa, moly! This is crazy. I got to dig into this." So the story behind this is that here in St. Louis, where Kirk and I are actually from, there is an organization called the Veiled Prophet Organization. I don't know if it still even exists to this day, and if so, it probably doesn't have the same name, but there have been a number of things that have existed and have been named for the Veiled Prophet Organization. It's like this old money, weird, almost like a cult type thing with this creepy, like made up veiled prophet that's very like KKK-esque. The whole thing is weird and creepy, and it was created in like 1878, which were weird, creepy times. So that tells you pretty much all you need to know about that. But that organization has been around and has been a name in St. Louis for a long time. And it turns out that in 1999, Ellie Kemper, who is a St. Louisan like us, was named the Queen of Love and Beauty at this like debutante ball for this creepy, weird organization. And so everybody's like, she's a KKK princess, and her family is all these like white elite racist bigot people, and we need to cancel her. And so I just wanted to give my take on this because I think it's very interesting. And being from St. Louis, I think we have an interesting perspective. So for example, I was in marching band in high school, and every year marched in the VP parade, and it was called the VP parade. And I had never known what that was about until somebody was like, "Oh, did you know that VP stands for the Veiled Prophet?" I was like, had no idea. It's just something that my high school makes me do as I'm in the marching band. And they're like, "Yeah, you should check it out." And I did, and I was creeped out by the weirdness and the sketchiness of the organization. And I was like, ugh, that should not be a thing, which is probably why they call it VP Parade now, or I think they just call it the Fair St. Louis Parade now or something like that. But this had been around and was just kind of like woven into the fabric of St. Louis. And I think most of us were none the wiser that it was around. And so when I saw this, I was like, I'm putting the pieces together. Okay, in 1999, she was 19 years old, which is in the Midwest, still an age where, like, if your parents tell you you have to go to something, you go, you know, type of thing. And also, like, this organization had been around and had been through some major changes, still creepy and weird, right? But, like, had been around and had been through some changes. And so it's like, I was just thinking, like, I could have been at this thing. I would have been none the wiser. You know what I mean? Like anybody, it's just like you get dragged off to this thing and all of a sudden you're the queen of love and beauty. Like, I don't know exactly how it went down, but it just feels like it freaked me out because I'm like, oh gosh, her parents may not have even known that this was like tied to some racist old organization. I mean, we're talking 100+ years later. So I'm just like, for me, I guess what I'm trying to say is for there to be a crime, there has to be intent, right? And I think it is highly likely that she showed up to this thing having no idea what the Veiled Prophet was or what this organization was. Her parents may not have even known. It's just like some party that they go to every year. And yes, they are like rich white people. And yes, that organization is sketchy and weird and whatever. But I think it's highly likely that Miss Kemper had no idea what this organization stood for or what was going on and just ended up there and was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I feel like we might want to pump the brakes on the cancel. I don't know. It just, I don't know why she hasn't said anything yet. I wish she would just come out and say that because that's honestly what I feel like is going on. Like, I wish she would have just like, her publicist would have just been like, hey, yeah, this is a weird thing. Here's a statement from Ellie. Like she didn't know, she was young, you know, whatever. And I would have been like, okay. So I don't know. What's your take on this, Kirk?
Yeah, well, earlier you told me we were going to talk about Ellie Kemper and the fact that she was in some hot water. So I brought my steamer.
What in the world?
Because I may have misunderstood the text of notes that you sent me.
Yes.
So I brought my hot water. It's ready to go. I can I can steam your clothes through the screen here. I will try to do so. But what I'd really like to touch base on a couple of things. So first of all, old weird stuff that no one really knew the source of. You have a giant organization that shouldn't exist, right? Yeah. But to no one's fault, the internet in 1999 was only open to the public, 8 years, something like that. So let's assume the internet became public in 1991. Okay, so no one has that information readily available. Google's not really moving, if even alive at that point. So Miss Ellie Kemper is probably just going to perform in some kind of beauty pageant because she wants to be an actress. I don't really think she has any understanding of what this organization is, much like any cult at their,
I think that's my take is like, it's like a cult, I guess.
Yes. When they're recruiting people don't know it. No one wants to actually join a cult. Let's be clear, people. No one actually wants to join a cult except the founding members who manipulate people. People find out later and they're like, oh, whoops. And then they roll out in most cases. So I really think this hot water that Ellie Kemper is in was not on purpose. And that's what we have to get people that are in this cancel culture to understand. Like, what are the circumstances? Yeah, is it wrong? Yeah, this crazy organization, the crazy things that they do, the things that they believed, and the hate that they spread. But how is Ellie Kemper actually associated with it? Is it by proxy, by accident, or was she one of the founding members, which is completely impossible when she was a 19-year-old girl?
Yeah, I don't know. That's how I feel too. And I just feel like it's crazy how fast something like this can catch fire and just is a runaway train. Like, it's instantaneous. Yes. I mean, somebody tweets, literally some rando tweets, Ellie Kemper's a KKK princess, and it's just like no link, no nothing, just like boom, gone. And all of a sudden it's number 4 trending in the United States, and like it's over. Right. That's wild. And so like I said, I'm hoping that she comes out and clears all this up, because I just felt like you and I, being from this area and like having heard of things like the VP parade and like other stuff, like know a little bit more about what's kind of going on there. Like,
Yep.
tons of people showed up to the VP parade and just like, it's the VP parade. It happens every year. You know what I mean? Nobody knows. Like, I had no idea until somebody told me. And I think that, date that back to 1999. This is a 100-plus-year-old organization. If you just grow up going to this party because your parents drag you to it and you go every year, and one year they decide you're the queen of love and beauty, then, what the heck are you supposed to do? I don't know. I think the organization, like you said, should not be absolved of their crimes or their racistness or whatever. Like, for sure, we should go after those guys if they're still around. Like, that organization should not exist. But Ellie Kemper feels like the wrong target here, in my opinion.
I would venture to say, I've not been a big parade guy, if you will. I don't really.
Well, they're the worst. Parades suck.
My wife loves them, and I love her, and so I will go to them for her because it brings nostalgic joy in her heart, and I will go. But I'm not the parade guy. When I go, I don't know who's sponsoring the parade. I'm just there to get candy for my kids and maybe a cool random merch product like a shirt or a koozie or sunglasses. Like something like that. So I don't know who's sponsoring parades. I guess I need to be more aware, and maybe we all can. This can be a learning moment, not let's destroy Ellie Kemper's career. Like, what's the point?
Well, I just think
she's not at fault.
When I was a kid, my dad was in the Rotary Club, and I got dragged to events that were by the Rotary Club, and all the way, throughout most of my life, just whatever. We're doing this for the Rotary Club, or this is an event that's sponsored by this organization. That's like, I would have never known, even up until my 20s, I would have never been like, who, what's this? Just like, my parents said I had to be here at this time wearing nice clothes. Great. Like, I don't know. It's an interesting thing, but I'm hoping that she clears the air here soon, because I do feel like this is a misunderstanding, and hopefully it's not too far gone, and it can be salvaged. But
I'm hoping she comes out with like an Instagram live where she just roasts that company and just makes a joke out of it, in a good way, right?
Yeah.
Because she's an incredible comedian, and I think that she'll be able to roast cancel culture. Those are the moments that I look forward to, when the cancel culture is wrong, and they get it wrong, and the person, the accused, they come out and they turn it around on them. I think there are moments like that are good for society, and I think Ellie Kemper's in the right position to do so.
Yeah, because I think overall, like, mistakes happen to whoever you are, and salvation or redemption is a good thing for all of us to have. It's in our best interest that redemption remain a thing. And so maybe if somebody has 3, 4, 5 strikes, or they're doing some really messed up stuff, like, we should consider not supporting their work. But maybe if it's like a stray bullet from some weird, creepy organization that she's probably not affiliated with, we should chill out a little bit.
That's right.
I don't know.
That's right.
Just saying. All right. Just wanted to get that out of the way, because I was like, I actually know kind of what people are saying when they say the veiled prophet. I've heard of that. So
Cameron's actually a secret member.
Oh God, don't even start it. Oh Lord. Okay. Moving right along, we've got lots of news to cover, lots of big news. First one, this came right after our stream last week. Amazon purchased MGM, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, the once ginormous media empire that has now sort of, it's just like kind of a collection of IPs. There's the Scarecrow, of course, from Wizard of Oz, which is an MGM property, though I don't know that it is anymore. They didn't mention that whenever they did.
It's not. Yes. MGM, famously part of Wizard of Oz. I played the Scarecrow in my High School Musical camp, and I was wonderful. I was the best Scarecrow you've ever seen in your life.
Yep. Never heard any bad reviews of that performance, I have
Thank
to
you.
say. So.
Thank you. And it's sad because that's the first thing I thought of when this deal went down. I'm like, wait, I'm gonna get to watch Wizard of Oz. I don't have to buy it on 4K and Blu-ray and digital.
Wrong.
I was wrong.
No. Yeah. So it's an interesting deal, I think, for a lot of reasons. I think, first of all, the deal is valued at $8.45 billion, which was a price tag I was a little bit surprised to hear, if I'm being honest. It's felt high. The deal includes such properties as the Rocky and Creed films, the Silence of the Lambs franchise, Stargate, Thelma and Louise, the Tomb Raider franchise, the Pink Panther franchise. On the TV side, there's The Handmaid's Tale, which is huge, Fargo, which is huge, and obviously the big one, James Bond, 007. So it will be interesting to see, though that James Bond deal is really weird and really hard to understand because of Kirk, you probably know even more about it than I do, with the Broccoli family and kind of like how they have some creative control over what happens with James Bond, even though they don't own the full rights to James Bond. So it's not exactly like Amazon just purchased James Bond. That's part of it, but it's not exactly correct.
Right. It's as hairy as the Spider-Man to Sony to Disney deal. Yeah. It's like you get to borrow him, but we get to cast him and we get to decide at any moment we can pull the rug out from underneath your feet. It's basically the same deal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So was surprised by that price tag. I feel like the majority of that price tag has to be attributed to James Bond and the films therein. But I think overall, I like this move. I think, $8.45 billion for Amazon for the content library that they are striving to build is not a big deal to them. I think it's a big money deal by price tag, but it's not a huge deal for them. And I think that this will be good for them. I think for these streaming services like Netflix and Amazon Prime and some of these guys who just kind of popped out of the woodwork and are creating their own content libraries. This is the name of the game now. There's only so much you can do from an original content standpoint, and at some point you have to start acquiring. And so I think this is a good move. I think it's a good move. I'm excited to see where this goes, especially since Amazon also has one of my favorite franchises. You might not be able to see him wearing a shirt from The Lord of the Rings, the Green Dragon, but The Lord of the Rings. They have The Lord of the Rings also, yeah. So it should be interesting. Should be very interesting. All right, moving right along. Kirk, you mentioned it briefly there. You mentioned our friends over at Sony and their current Spider-Man exploits.
I did.
What is happening over there? How many props do you have? This is insanity.
I can't move my chair. There are approximately 30 props around me.
Oh, my word.
I just gathered everything I could while I was having computer trouble. That way I would be able to have fun.
I love it. Well, the latest news on Sony's Spider-Verse, Marvelverse, whatever you want to call it, is that Aaron Taylor Johnson has been cast as Kraven the Hunter in an upcoming film about the famous Spider-Man villain, Kraven the Hunter. And it's likely that movie will just be titled Kraven the Hunter and will be in the same ilk as Venom and Morbius, Morbius is coming out, I think next year now. I can't remember all the release date shuffling, but anyway, it'll be added to their slate of villain picks. Kirk, what's your reaction to first of all, Sony using their Marvel characters to spin up another villain-centric movie, and also what's your take on this casting?
It's pretty fascinating because, as we know, there have been so many different actors who, before the MCU was firmly established and rolling along, we had actors play those characters, and then they got recast as different characters. This one is kind of wild because it's Sony, but it crosses over into the Spider-Verse. It's kind of baffling because your mind is just going to be like, wait, Quicksilver, right? Oh no, Kraven. Oh wait, it's just so interesting. But then I just that drops all down because I just saw this meme of Carl Urban, who famously plays Dr. Bones in the Star Trek reboot. He also plays in Thor, 3, he plays this kind of troubled man between who's like Hela's like right hand man, and then he drops it, and then he goes
what's
off.
that character's name?
Yeah,
again?
but whatever his name is, it's played by the actor Carl Urban, but he apparently it had all of these images of Carl Urban throughout his entire career, and he has been in every single Marvel iteration, and like literally there's like 40 different versions of him of being different Marvel characters. And so you're like, well, Carl Urban, this like Aaron Taylor Johnson has nothing on Carl Urban.
Carl Urban played Scourge. That's the name.
Scourge. Yes. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, he just keeps adding stuff to his resume. I mean, we're going to see him as Elvis pretty soon here, which is nuts, and I think it's going to be great in the Baz Luhrmann biopic. But this
wait, isn't that Austin Butler?
Well, maybe, I don't remember. They look the same to me.
I feel like it's Austin Butler. If he's Elvis, that's bonkers to me.
Well, I want it to be him because look at how handsome he is. Look at his curled, furrowed lip. Anyways,
I'm not trying to burst your
bubble. Are
you
fact checking me right now live, Cam?
I just want to make sure we get it right, Kurt. Yeah, it's Austin Butler.
How dare you?
Kirk. Sorry.
How dare you?
Sorry. But he was in Godzilla. Aaron Taylor Johnson was in Godzilla, and he was Quicksilver, as you said. So, it's exciting.
Whatever.
Stuff.
Look at his hair. He won't even have to get any makeup to himself. His hair is
He's
halfway
kind of a shapeshifter,
there.
though, dude. I feel like, like when I heard this casting, I was like, Aaron Taylor Johnson has shapeshifting in his back pocket, because I feel like you see him and stuff, you get the cast list at the end of the movie, and you're like, huh? Who? What? Who is he?
I would like to propose that he is actually Austin Butler, and he's just
deep undercover,
fooling us all because he wants to take on more roles. That's what I think, Cam.
I like it. I like that take. Hey, I want to swing back to something you said, because I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it is a nice segue into the next thing I wanted to talk about with this, which is that in conjunction with this story about Aaron Taylor Johnson being cast in Morbius, there were some pretty interesting quotes from Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures president Sanford Panich, who is what is that? Is that your diploma? This
is my diploma to mark my wisdom and presidency.
Wow. You want to try that one again? I feel like you just proved my point whenever I corrected you on the Aaron Taylor Johnson thing.
This is all I could find. It says president on there somewhere.
Yeah, so it just got into your head. It was Inception. Anyway, Sanford Panich, who is the president of Columbia Pictures, Sony Pictures, had some very interesting comments on the heels of this whole Kraven the Hunter thing, because now people are starting to put the pieces together that, like, okay, we're for sure doing a Sinister Six thing here with every Spider-Man big villain getting their own movie, and they're trying to build something together here. And of course, there is the worst kept secret in the entire world, which is everything going on with Spider-Man No Way Home. I think the lid has been totally blown off of exactly what they're planning there with the whole multiverse, etc. But this is what's really interesting. You brought up the Aaron Taylor Johnson thing, and like, is it a coincidence that he's Kraven the Hunter? Well, let's have that conversation, but let me first prime this conversation with some quotes from Sanford Panich. He said, regarding the Sony Marvelverse, he said, there actually is a plan. I think now maybe it's getting a little more clear for people where we're headed, and I think when No Way Home comes out, even more will be revealed. The great thing is we have this very excellent relationship with Kevin, meaning Kevin Feige of Marvel. There's an incredible sandbox there to play with. We want those MCU movies to be absolutely huge because that's great for us and our Marvel characters, and I think that's the same thing on their side. But we have a great relationship. There's lots of opportunities, I think, that are going to happen. So let's connect some puzzle pieces here, all right? Okay. We've got Spider-Man No Way Home, which is for sure some version of multiverse that somehow ties back into the old Sony movies, somehow. And I wish that I didn't have that knowledge. I wish I wasn't cursed with that knowledge, because seeing that in theaters with no, like, prior knowledge would be the most incredible experience of my young life. But
yeah,
it is what it is. We're here now, and everybody knows, and there's nothing that could have stopped that from happening. It happened. So you've got that. You've got the fact that Sony and Marvel have a great relationship, and it sounds like from Mr. Panich's comments, there's lots of room for continued collaboration. And it sounds like whenever this deal's up with Tom Holland and what they're doing with the MCU, there might be another deal right behind it and another deal after that one, and they might continue to work this. And then you take into account that we had the weird casting of Evan Peters as Ralph Boner in WandaVision. Everybody thought that was going to be like a universe tying in with the Fox X-Men movies. Do you think this Aaron Taylor Johnson thing is just a coincidence, or is it like, hey, it's a weird multiverse, and yeah, in this version of the universe, he might be Quicksilver, but in this one, he's Kraven the Hunter. Like, is that possible?
I think this one, I don't know why, because I am a big conspiracy theorist on all Marvel things. But for some crazy reason, I do believe that this is mere coincidence. I believe that maybe they thought, that Aaron Taylor Johnson's pretty good. Why did we kill him off immediately after introducing him, after having 4 different Quicksilver actors in the span of 2 years? I just think, I think this one is mere coincidence. It's more of like not retconning the storyline of the multiverse, but really capturing talent. That's my take.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see this big universe where things just get weird, and it's like, here's some old X-Men characters, here's some new X-Men characters, here's, Quicksilver in the MCU is this, but in that same person in another universe is Kraven that. Like, I would love that. I would live for that. And like, I don't know, like the whole Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Willem Dafoe, like weirdness. I want all of it. I want all the weirdness. And so I want to believe that there's something there. There definitely is something bigger going on, but I think you might be right. And I think this Aaron Taylor Johnson thing is not related to that. But I was firmly in the camp of, we must get all of the Spider-Man characters over to Disney Marvel and over to Kevin Feige to work with. But as the days go by, I am softening on that. And I feel like as long as they don't steal Tom Holland's Spider-Man away from us, or, churn out a bunch of crappy, movies, which, is still on the table for the record.
Right.
Then I will be okay with it. And if they do start churning out crappy movies, I will be the first one to be like, buy Spider-Man now, buy all the characters back from Sony, pay whatever it takes. Because I want the whole thing to be successful, for sure.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's an interesting one. I'm excited we got to talk about that. I'll be glued to the police ticker to see what's coming over what's the latest stories, because these things just come out so random and so fast. I had no idea that Kraven the Hunter was next on the docket, and this casting is wild.
Yes.
Speaking of wild castings, there's a segue for you. David O. Russell, who is one of my favorite directors in terms of sheer talent, and I love his flow and his style. He directed The Silver Linings Playbook, The Fighter, American Hustle, Joy. He's been around. He is cooking up a new project, which will actually be his first movie since that 2015 film, Joy. Believe it or not. It's crazy to think about. It's an untitled film. I feel like I've been hearing about this movie for so long, and somehow it still doesn't have a title. And the most recent addition to this cast, according to Collider, is none other than T-Swizzle, Taylor Swift. And if that's not enough, listen to who else is already in this cast. Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, John David Washington, Rami Malek, Zoe Saldana, Anya Taylor-Joy, Chris Rock, Mike Myers, Robert De Niro, Michael Shannon, Timothy Olyphant. They just added Taylor Swift to that group. This is the most bonkers. Honestly, I honestly think it might be the most bonkers cast I've ever heard in my life. Seriously.
Yeah, David O. Russell is like just creating a time capsule because these are like the greatest hits of actors, not only from now, but from the 70s. This is what this cast collab looks like. While I was painting my kitchen, as I mentioned this weekend, we just turned movies on in the background. We had Hamilton going for a long time. We had Silver Linings Playbook playing as well, and it's incredible. This is someone who I can't believe there hasn't been a film directed since 2015's Joy. it blows my mind. So this is much anticipated to come out. Are they already filming? Do we have those details?
I don't believe so. I don't
Right, because
believe so.
they're still adding cast members left and right. So how
Yeah.
could they, right? Adding Taylor Swift, this is not her first movie. She's been in at least one, probably two or three, like just random times.
So Cats for sure.
Yes.
Valentine's Day.
Uh-huh.
Those are the two that come to mind. I think there are probably more.
I think there's a couple more Valentine's Day-esque films that, that she might have been in, but...
Oh, you know what she was in? Is the Lorax voice actor.
Oh, yes, that's right.
She was starred opposite Zac Efron in that.
Yes, that is correct. So she's no stranger to like acting, right? We know she's a superstar in song and music, but this... I just know that he'll be able to craft her, create her into what he needs her to be with this whole other set of people. It's wild. It's definitely still wild, regardless.
Yeah, he is really good with human interaction, and he has launched a lot of really good actors into superstardom and gotten the best performances out of them. I think he's gotten the best performances out of Jennifer Lawrence that anybody else has. I think Bradley Cooper, same thing.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting. This cast, I can't stop thinking about it. It's madness. It's sheer madness, but I love it. Okay, moving along, if my mouse will work. We have a couple of quick hitters. You ready for some quick hitters, Kirk, before we head into our review? Okay. One of our favorites, Denai Guerrera, who's Michonne and is in... she's in The Walking Dead, and she's also Okoye in the Maui hook? Oh, that's like her spear.
That's right.
Now we're getting interpretive with the props. now it's starting to make me use my brain a little bit, but I see what we're doing. All right.
Bombay.
Yeah. Of the Dora Milaje, Okoye is getting her own show on Disney Plus, a spin-off of the Black Panther. After she appears in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, she will get her own show that centers around this character on Disney Plus.
Yes.
Exciting
that's
stuff.
Fantastic. Yes. Bravo, Denai. Bravo.
Yeah, I love that I love what they're doing with the Dora Milaje. Like, I love that they were involved. Okoye was not involved in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but the Dora Milaje were heavily involved. And I love that they're just like, those characters are baller. And Okoye is the most baller of all. And so this is going to be sick. It's just going to be her like smacking the crap out of people with that vibranium spear. And it'll be just like her as Michonne, who like slicing zombie heads off with a katana. Like, it's the same level. I needed that in my life, and we're going to get it back.
It's going to be wonderful.
Everything's going to be okay, Kirk. It's all going to be okay. Okay, next one. Interesting. The Tomorrow War. Did you catch this trailer, Kirk? The Tomorrow War, starring Chris Pratt. This is an Amazon original film that is coming on July 2nd, starring Chris Pratt.
Yes.
Is that your future communicating device there, Kirk?
This is my future communicating device.
It looks like, is that Paw Patrol? It's like the putt pad.
It is exactly that.
I love it.
Yes. Yeah, we see Chris Pratt get strapped in and like his arm gets eaten, and then all of a sudden he has almost like a Mega Man cuff. And this is what I found. So yeah.
It reminds me of if you watch like football, quarterbacks have the cheat sheet on their arms. That's what it looked like, only it was like made of metal. And
dude, on them, I always think of Buzz Lightyear. Like, I think it's his
his little like
little
communicator.
panel.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think of this trailer overall, though?
Well, you see, this trailer was really weird. It didn't have a clear direction on what it wanted to be for me. We see, I think Chris Pratt was trying to really figure out a really unique character. But what we get in doing that, at least from the trailer cut, is we get Andy Dwyer from Parks and Rec and brooding Jurassic World, Chris Pratt. So it was a little weird to have that juxtaposition of putting those back to back, sometimes from cut to cut, like him making a silly face and voice with his daughter. And then in the very next scene, he's just like, "This is the end of the world."
Yeah.
It was a lot. It was a lot. And I don't think I can really gather, like, immediately I felt uncomfortable. I felt like casting this movie aside and saying, this is going to be terrible. I think I need trailer number 2 for this before I really destroy it with my thoughts.
Well, it's got red flags, I would say.
Okay.
I think this movie has red flags. I think the plot feels a little shake and bake to me. You know, like it's like, sure, it's like original per se, but it's not like super inventive. Like it's like your run of the mill sci-fi movie. And also he is like the guy in the movie. There are other actors who are like not very big name, with the exception of why am I forgetting his name? The guy.
Exactly.
No, it's gosh.
Let me find.
He's an Academy Award winner. J.K. Simmons. J.K. Simmons. He's in it, but it seems like a smallish role for him. Anyway, it just, I feel like this might be a stinker. It's an Amazon original film. It's coming out on July 4th weekend. It's a big giant sci-fi movie in the vein of like Independence Day. Maybe they're trying to catch some synergies with that. I don't know. I am concerned. So we'll see. I hope for the best. Chris Pratt keeps posting like this is the greatest movie ever made. He's like, oh man, you guys got to see the Tomorrow War. It's going to be so dope. We made the greatest movie ever. You guys are going to love it. And I'm like, this makes me not trust you. This makes me concerned. You should just be like, yeah, this movie, maybe you'll like it. Maybe you won't. I don't know.
Yeah, he's overcompensating. That's scary.
It is scary. It is scary for sure. Okay. 2 other quick hitters. A Quiet Place debuted this weekend. It'll be the subject of our review for next week if anybody wants to get ahead on their homework. We are going to be checking out A Quiet Place Part 2. It debuted this weekend to the tune of $57 million, which is the biggest box office earning for any film since COVID hit, largely on the U.S. mainland. And the box office overall, with Cruella racking up around 21 million, I think is what I saw. The US box office did around 79 million overall Memorial Day weekend, not including Monday, as far as I know. And that is the biggest weekend since COVID. So that is a huge deal. I was lucky enough to go to theaters this weekend and check out Cruella. It was great. The theater was packed. Every seat sold, minus the social distancing seats, of course. But it was good to see. Good to see the theaters back and good to see a good performance, and can't wait to see A Quiet Place Part 2, which, like I said, will be the subject of our review next week. And finally, the last one, and this is a great one, Howard University, which is an HBCU, historically black college or university, I think in this case a university because it's called Howard University. They're naming their fine arts school after none other than Chadwick Boseman, who is an alum and obviously an incredible actor and who tragically passed away. So that is great to see that he'll be honored forever at Howard University. That's, what a shining example he is for that university and HBCUs, and he did so much for his people, which is awesome to see. So that's very exciting, and kudos to Howard University for making that call, because I think it's a great one. You love to see it. Yep. All right. That's all we got. Let's pop it up one last time. All right. And now we move into my favorite portion of the show, which is the portion where we get to review a film. This week's film is called Cruella. It's a Disney live action movie. It's rated PG-13, runtime around 2 hours, 14 minutes. You can catch it in theaters or on Disney Plus with Premier Access if you shell out 30 bones for it. Either way, you can do it. It'll probably cost you $30 anyway. Anyway you slice it, whether you go see it in theaters, unless you go by yourself and drink water, in which case it will be slightly less than $30. So however you want to go about it. Yeah, and you'll hate yourself. But that's an option, okay, if you want to save some money. But those are the places that you can watch it. If you haven't seen it, we are going to be slinging spoilers around, so feel free to go earmuffs or skip ahead to the end or whatever you need to do, and then come back and listen to the review after you've seen the movie. But Kirk, before we do our review, this is a movie that is sort of a spin-off, prequel, live-action thing that's tied to a very famous Disney animated film called 101 Dalmatians. And so I thought I would quickly test your knowledge on the first movie with a couple of queries, Kirk. A couple of surprise queries for you.
Are you surprise gaming me right now?
I am.
This is not good.
I don't feel great about it, but I am doing it. I'll try to take it easy on you, just to get people in the right mindset for the review, including you, Kirk.
Oh dear.
We'll start easy. We'll start easy. Okay. In that, and these are all questions relating to the original animated movie. In 101 Dalmatians, the animated film, Pongo and Perdita are the names of the two dog parents. What are the names of their owners, or as they refer to them, their pets?
Yes, Roger.
Roger, correct.
And Anita.
Correct. Well done, Kirk. See, not too tough.
Okay.
Not too tough.
The next question: name 100 all 101 Dalmatians.
How many drawings did it take to make the final version of the film? No, I'm not going to do that. In that film, Cruella knows Anita, or they are related in what way? What is their relation to one another? Anita and Cruella.
Oh, dear me. Is Cruella her great aunt?
Incorrect. Cruella, your dearly devoted old schoolmate, Roger says. Her schoolmate, her old schoolmate. She is that crazy friend that people have that just like clings to them like grim death after high school. And just like shows up unannounced. She totally is that person, and that is a very real person. So
yeah, and obviously she went through some life because she always looked way older than Anita.
Way older. And her skin is basically green, grayish. So
yes. Oh man, unless like when I was in college, there were people who were doing the same degree as me that were literally actually 20 years older than me. So maybe that's what happened. It was a college schoolmate. Maybe.
Perhaps.
We'll see.
Perhaps. Okay. Last one. No, I'll do two more. There are 15 puppies that are born of Pongo and Perdita, and only 6 of them are given names in the film. There are only 6 names that we actually hear in the movie. Give me 4 out of the 6 names of these puppies.
Lucky.
Correct.
Spot.
Try again.
How about Daisy?
Nope, not good. It's not good. You got one.
Sally.
Incorrect.
Thomas.
Nope. All right, you're cut off. You're cut off. The names are Lucky, which is the one that you got. Patch. Rolly, which is the fat one.
Dang it.
Penny, Freckles, and I need to look at my notes. I forgot the last one. Penny, Freckles, and
Thomas. I'm doubling down on Thomas.
No, it's not Thomas. I need to pull up my notes again. I forgot. How did I forget?
We'll never know.
How did I forget? Oh, Pepper. I knew it was another P. Penny, Pepper, Freckles, Lucky, Rolly, Patch. So you got 1 out of 6, and I got 5 out of 6, and I had notes. So I think you actually, in a way, did better than I did because I couldn't find my notes in time. Okay, last one.
Oh no, there's more. Okay.
This is the last one. In the movie, Roger sings a total of 2 songs. The first one that he sings, of course, is his smash hit, Cruella de Vil. You know that one. And the last one he sings at the end when they decide to keep all the puppies. What does he name that song? It rhymes. It's 2 words and they rhyme with each other.
It does. Can I get the letters of each of the first letters of each of the 2 words?
Okay, sure. D is the letter of the first word, and P is the letter of the second word.
D and P.
Yes.
Yeah, this should be easy. Okay.
And they rhyme.
Daddy Patty, or hold on, don't hit the buzzer. Ditsy Pitsy, or we could also say Day pay. I have no clue. I have no clue what this is.
Dalmatian plantation.
Oh!
We'll have a Dalmatian plantation. That's what he sings. Okay. Sorry, Kirk. That was unfair, but I just wanted to get people back into that mind frame of that old animated 101 Dalmatians film. All right.
Sad.
But well done. You got the first
failed.
two correct. No, you got the first one correct. So it's okay. You did better, literally did better than I do in 90% of the games that we play. And you were surprised. I'm usually prepared. I don't know. It's one of those things. All right. Moving right along. So we're talking about Cruella, and it's my responsibility to synopsis it. And I have to say, Kirk, I really toyed with the idea of doing a song parody synopsis, but I just didn't have the time to get the lyrics. But I was going to do a Cruella de Vil. Maybe I'll finish writing it and post it. I don't know. But I'll just be boring and do a boring talking synopsis instead.
I believe in you. I want to see this. So yes, would you like me to sing? Would you like me to hum Cruella de Vil underneath you, or possibly trumpet it? You know.
Yeah, sure. That works.
Would you like a hum, or would you like?
I think a hum would be good.
Okay, cool.
Feeling it. All right. Cruella is based on the famous Disney villain Cruella de Vil, which is actually based on a book from back in the day called 101 Dalmatians. But this movie, starring Emma Stone, is the origin story of our favorite Disney villain Cruella. Talks about how she once was a kid named Estella who wanted to be a fashion designer. She lost her mom at a young age and then became a fashion designer, and how she sort of battled that duality of Estella and Cruella in her mind. So that's Cruella.
Beautiful.
Well done, Kirk. Anything else I need to add before we dive into this movie? Any other parts of the synopsis?
Well, I was focusing so hard on my humming that I didn't hear a word.
Basically, this movie is an origin story about Cruella. It talks about how she is actually Estella who ends up being an orphan because her mom dies and ends up becoming a fashion designer, and the rest is all the plot of the movie. So there you
Score.
go.
No, that's it. That's everything.
All right, let's dive into our superlatives. The first one we always do is, of course, and the Oscar goes to. That's the name of the category, and it goes to the best actor in the film. This one's going to Miss Emma Stone. Man, Emma Stone, the range, the professionalism, the fearlessness to take on this role, which feels like such a risky career move for someone who's as accomplished as her, and something that she certainly didn't need to do. She took it, she ran with it, and boy, did she run with it. I mean, she created a really great character. She nailed every aspect of this character. Like I said, the duality of like this, there's this Jekyll and Hyde sort of theme going through this movie with Estella, who is her, who she is when she's good, and then Cruella, who is her when she's just untamed, uncaged, when she's her, sort of her true self. And man, she created two different characters. It was really remarkable. It was actually, and I know this is the sort of the line that everybody's drawing together is like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, about how he acts differently when he's the Joker. That is what was going on here. She had different facial expressions, different inflection, a different walk. Her physical acting was totally different. Everything was totally different when she was in that Cruella mode. And there are times in the movie where she intentionally blurs these lines between Cruella and Estella. And for a movie that's based on a character that we know and know pretty well, she helped keep you on your toes. I feel like you didn't really know which way things were going to go at any point. And I think a lot of that's due to the writing, but a lot of that's due to her performance as well. I can't say enough about it. I thought she was stellar. I really did. And I've talked about it on the podcast. I expected this movie to suck, and I almost never say that, but I just really, seeing the promotional materials, I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, and you'll find out later if I think that it worked, but she worked. Emma Stone worked overtime, and I thought she was brilliant.
Yeah, Emma Stone also gets my Oscar today. She is someone who shouldn't be as good as she is. But she's absolutely brilliant. You know, Emma Stone's early career days came out of Zombieland and Easy A, and she is an Academy Award winning actress, and rightfully so. When you see the craft that she puts into this role of Cruella, and you sit back and you watch some of the other actors in this film, you're like, hey, get on my level, because she's not messing around. I mean, she dives in, she fully commits to this character. I love how you talked about the duality and the Jekyll and Hyde. She fully did this. And what's more fascinating is that in movies like this, there's typically a moment when one of those personalities wins out over the other. In this case, it never died. So we get the big pinnacle moment when she's at the water fountain speaking to her, let's call her adoptive mother, Catherine, the maid who saved her from the Baroness's evil clutches and order of death, quite frankly. And she's talking at the water fountain. It's the symbol of where she once was. And she goes back and forth. It's her big declaration that she is Cruella and that Estella is no more. And then 3 times after that, she goes back into saying, "But I love you, mother," and blah blah blah. And I'm gonna seek my revenge. It's for you. This is who I am. Cruella was always stronger than Estella, but that part is not dead in me. So that part, that critical writing and understanding, is what was so fascinating to watch her process throughout the entire film.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. It's a show-stopping performance from her, an absolute acting masterclass. I mean, I can't say enough about how good of a job she did and sort of always does these days. I mean, I just thought this is going to be a flop for her. This is too ambitious. There's no way she knocks it out of the park, and she did. She smashed it. It's really impressive. Let's move on to Scene Stealer. And man, I have to say, this movie was really well acted across the board. And this was a tough contest, and I juggled with it back and forth, in the hours leading up to this broadcast. But in the end, it's Emma Thompson who plays the Baroness. I love Emma Thompson. I just love what she does. I think she's a master of her craft. She gets typecast in a pretty similar role, which is like the really tough to please, like middle-aged lady. I mean, we've seen it in Saving Mr. Banks. We've seen it in Late Night with Mindy Kaling. Like, we've seen her play this role, and typecast or not, man, it's fascinating to watch, and she does an incredible job. And her acting opposite Emma Stone, and both of them playing these. I mean, you think about it. This is a villain origin story, and somehow Emma Thompson has to be the bigger of the two villains in this movie, and so that requires a ton of energy, a ton of intentionality in the acting choices that you're making in order to make that stick and work. And man, it did. It was awesome. And the supporting cast was stellar in this movie. Honestly, truly stellar. And Emma Thompson stands above the rest. I thought she was fantastic as the Baroness. Emma Thompson, undefeated. She just does her thing, and it's amazing.
Yes, Dame Emma Thompson, freshly crowned 2018 from Prince William. We won't go into that, but I applaud that choice. I had to give my scene stealer to Mr. Paul Walter Hauser.
Yes,
your boy is just killing it in the game. This guy came onto the scene. He's 3 years older than me. This is what always bothers me. What bothers me, people that are like very close to my age and they are just destroying it. Like, I'm happy for them. I truly am, but I'm like, why can't I be in your proximity and I could be another character nearby you and join you? But Paul Walter Hauser, he's been in I, Tonya, Black Klansman, Richard Jewell. He plays Richard Jewell, and now he is Horace. He immortalizes Horace, this bubbling, just fool, imbecile, if you will, from the original film, and he kills it. I mean, you would have thought that character was drawn after Paul Walter Hauser because of how he just flawlessly steps into that role. And when he steps into it, I always admire people who don't make it so much a caricature, but he really found like if this guy is an imbecile, why is he an imbecile? Is he dumb? I mean, he's a thief. He's a successful thief. So what are his shortcomings? And that's what we really see it throughout. He's got some really kind of wacky moments where he's like, chasing these Dalmatians around, making sure they go to the bathroom to get the secret necklace out that's from Estella's, birth mother, who happens to be, of course, spoiler alert, the Baroness Emma Thompson. It was actually given to her from the Baron, who died and withered away. There are just these wacky moments like that. This moment where he falls off the staircase and into a cake, which wasn't one of my favorite moments, but he didn't do it over the top. He just committed and did it. This film is about commitment to characters, and if there's anything else that the director got right, it was that, making sure that the casting was full of people who just were gonna do it no matter what, and we're gonna not just like phone it in. They really did it well. They didn't cheese it up, and Paul Walter Hauser, scene stealer for sure.
Yeah, man. His whole comedic flair, but also the depth of his character was just fascinating to watch. The scene that you're talking about where it ends with him falling into the wall and then into a cake. The catalyst for that whole scene was that he was pretending to be an exterminator, and he brought with him this this dog, this Chihuahua that has, or a miniature pinscher or something like that has an eye patch because it has like an eye injury or something.
Wink, I think his name is.
Wink, yeah. They dressed it as a giant rat. And man, the comedy in those scenes was just second to none. I was cracking up. I thought it was amazing. They at multiple times had the rat sneak up on someone or lunge at them, and it was freaking hilarious. I absolutely loved it. And it wouldn't work. It wouldn't have worked without Mr. Hauser there. I mean, just crushing it. All right, let's move into Showstopper, and then we'll move into director's shoes before giving our final scores. But Showstopper, the thing that really blew me away about this movie had style out the wazoo. I mean, the style was off the charts, and it was fearless, man. I mean, I can't say enough how ambitious of a movie this is. You take a beloved Disney villain who has issues, like she kills dogs in the original movie, right? Like that's a tough sell. She is crazy. She's got this she is very cartoony, and you're taking this to live action. You're making it an origin spin-off prequel, which is like, again, crazy ambitious. And the whole time they're doing this thing with like the fashion designer storyline and the London punk scene in the 1970s, and just were totally confident with it, totally fearless with it. And the reason that it worked is that they swung for the fences, and they were just like unabashedly committed to their theme, to their aesthetic, to the story. The director of this film's name is Craig Gillespie, and holy smokes, man, I applaud him. I applaud him for the guts. I think it took insane guts. I think working for a big giant studio with one of their prized characters has to be tough, and you have to have a really clear vision that you can sell. I think that vision was there, and I think it was executed extremely well. And the style, the costume design, the fashion, the landscapes, the buildings, I mean, all the different textures were just cash money throughout. And that's extremely hard to pull off. It really is. And this movie could have been an absolute dumpster fire. And this group didn't let that happen. And it's a real credit to the creative group that they had behind it, and the style that they kept intact throughout shot one all the way to the end of the movie. Really well done.
Yeah, it definitely has style that you like, locked in style that you can't even really pinpoint. What you're watching is unique and different. And there's all of these different facets to it, but you can't just call it one thing. And I think that's what also makes it, will make it last longer than, oh yeah, they tried to do this with this movie and here it is, those are the kind of bold moves that make it stand out later on when people go back and watch it. I think that for me, the showstopper was the narration technique. You open up immediately with Emma Stone calling out that she's dead. And you're like, what? You're like, hold on. No, this is a prequel. She's not dead. I've seen this. You got ways to go before you die. And quite frankly, we heard on my 101 Dalmatian knowledge, but I can't quite remember if she does die at the end of that movie. But there is 102 Dalmatians.
There is.
But I have never seen that, nor will I ever, unless you pay me, and then I will gladly watch it. But what I'd like to say about this is that the narration tool worked throughout. It wasn't campy. Narration tools can sometimes become that. They can sometimes lean too hard into it to fill in the gaps of things. But really, the narration technique on this really shaped the story and really gave us the insight that was needed. We had so much wonderful dialogue from Emma Stone, but it couldn't have been as good if we didn't have the strength of her inner monologue coming out. The only monologue we get from Emma Stone, and she has a lot of dialogue, is when she's confronting her past. Once she finds out that her mother isn't really her mother, Catherine, that she was her adoptive, like, just safeguard mother. She has that big monologue where you don't even see the fountain after the initial like wind up shot. You just see Emma Stone as Cruella. So that tool, they knew that they needed to allow Emma Stone to be able to really have a big moment. I talked about Monologue Mondays. This would be a great Monologue Monday. Getting a crazy wig and putting that on and doing that scene, that monologue that she has at the fountain. I just think that the narration tool is difficult to work well, and it really did work perfectly in this film.
That's a great insight. And also, I think you just volunteered yourself to do this monologue. So congrats, and good luck on finding a half and half black and white wig. I think that will be a bit of a, without going full Bride of Frankenstein, I think that will be a tough get, but
yes,
best of luck to you, my friend. Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to the other side of that coin, which is director's shoes and what we would change about the film, or what notes we would give. I have to go. So this movie, spoiler alert, I think they pulled it off. I think they pulled this movie off, but there are some things that that could have been changed. I think the biggest one for me is they crescendoed a tad early in this movie, and they brought it to a really nice, what felt like a really final climax in the movie, and they did it about 35 minutes prior to the end of the movie. If I'm just eyeballing it, I don't know exactly when it occurred, but it was a smidge early. Like I said, I saw it in theaters, so I don't actually know exactly what the timestamp was. I was lost in the whatever the movie
spectacle,
the spectacle, yeah, the mirage. But anyway, it comes and you think this is the end. This is the end of the movie. They have this big thing. There's the reveal with her. She's like about to be killed, basically. She's like going to be set on fire from this baroness who is her birth mother. That's all revealed. That well, that's revealed later, but it was, she knew that it was Estella the whole time. She knew that it was Estella the whole time. That was Cruella. And even though she was working for her, like, she knew that it had to have been her. And there's this big scene. She almost dies. It's a whole thing. And she survives it. And you think, okay, they're going to just kind of like ride this out to a resolution. No, they bring it all the way down, and then they bring it all the way back up for another big finish, in which it's the final confrontation of the "I know you're my mother, why'd you get rid of me?" that whole deal. And I just think it's a lot to ask of your audience to bring it to this huge climax, then drop it all the way back down to no momentum from a pacing perspective, and then build back up to one last big finish. And for me, that's where they erred. I think that was the big one. But the way that they ended it from a plot perspective was excellent. From a storytelling perspective, it was really spot on all the way through. I just think they brought us a little too high, a little too soon, and kind of created a little bit of stirring antsiness in the last like 30 of the movie. So could have been executed slightly better, in my opinion.
I disagree, Cameron, with your. I don't disagree. I have a different.
You're
take
allowed
on
to disagree.
I just wanted to quote Adam Sandler in the final the gem
Uncut
the
Gems,
uncut
yeah.
gems, the final cut with Robin Williams. I would like to talk about the beginning of this movie and how I almost abandoned this entire film. I was dead set on coming into this review and saying, Cameron, I did not watch this entire movie. I started it and I did not finish it. I was determined because I was so upset. In the first scene, not the first scene, in the first sequence, we get through the montage of who Estella is. We get that Cruella is like her alter ego. You know, she's got some issues going on. But when they kill Catherine, her adoptive mother, at the beginning of this film, when she is running through this underground secret fashion show at the Baroness's home, and then the visible Baroness is facing Catherine, and the Dalmatians are chasing Cruella, and they jump past her for no reason whatsoever, and then they just jump onto Catherine and knock her off that cliff. I was so annoyed. Yes, they clarify later, but oh my goodness, was it so frustrating. And I think that there's a different way to tell that. I think that there is a different way to set that up. I don't know what it is, but it didn't make sense in the way that they cut that scene, the way they edited that scene in which they were chasing the dog that Cruella had, the dog and Cruella, and then they jumped straight over her and killed her mother. It didn't make sense. It bothered me so badly, pretty much up until the scene that you're talking about when the Baroness tries to light Cruella on fire, and then you're like, oh, they fix it. They're unraveling it. This is what actually was happening. That scene put such a bad taste in my mouth. I was determined not to watch it. So I watched it in 2 sittings. I came back at it and I was like, oh, wait a second. The second half of this movie really has it going on. Before that, there's also too much fashionista stuff, diving like deep into it, where we didn't even need that much. I mean, your movie's almost 2.5 hours. There was a lot of fluff that could have been cut out during this. So reshape that opening scene, because man, did it drive me bonkers. And to this day, to this day, I mean, I watched it yesterday. To this day, I am very frustrated by it. One day later. And I just got to say that there's a better way to do it. I don't know what it is, but goodness, it made me mad. And I'll if I ever watch this movie again, I will skip that scene and just keep going, because there's so much good past that. So often we get movies that mess up in the middle. This movie started getting good in the middle and just kept going well, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a pretty jarring scene to see somebody early in a movie that you're feeling it out, right? To see someone pushed off of a cliff by 3 Dalmatians, like in slow motion, you're like, well, that is absurd.
Yes.
You know, like
They
there's
didn't
no
even
other thought that can come into your mind other than that, because it's like, oh my gosh, you know, and you know, like the history of the character and the Dalmatians, and you're like, is this the origin? Oh my God. You know, it's like you go through that whole thought process. So I totally get that. But they do clean it up rather nicely.
They do.
I totally get that reaction.
The dog whistle, and she's, you know, it was that the reveal was bigger than just that it was also the Baroness was her mother, and there was a lot of stuff baked in there. I just wish they would have taken a little bit more time with it to really understand how it would resonate with me specifically. When I watched it at home. So
I think that's a fair ask going forward.
I agree.
All right. Well, let's move into final thoughts and scores. Like I said a little while ago, I think they pulled it off. I really do. And no one is more surprised about that than I am. I really thought it was a remarkable accomplishment. I thought it was a very ambitious film. So kudos to them. I think they did an excellent job. I don't think it's a perfect movie. As I said, I think there are some things that they do differently. There are some things that they have to retcon about this character in order to make it work in today's world. For example, her not killing Dalmatians, and skinning them for their coats. That was a good call. And they set up this thing with Anita and Roger that sort of makes you think that they're heading towards some sort of new live action 101 Dalmatians movie that will have some different plot points and will come off the shoulders of this. I don't know if that's exactly what's going to happen, but there is a mid-credit scene that alludes to that fact. So they have to betray the original source material a little bit, but I think overall it works in this case, and I will be interested to see how they do going forward. I expect this to be a smash hit for them. I expect it to be something that has staying power, that people talk about, that people want to see, that word of mouth is very kind to. And I'm putting this movie in great territory by giving it an 8.0 out of 10 kernels. So 8.0 out of 10, flat 8 for Cruella.
Very nice, very nice. I love how you called out about the mid-credit scene with them, because it really does look like that's what they're setting up. At the top of this film, as I was enraged over the the opening sequence and how Catherine died, I found myself just staring deeply into the eyes of the animals. They are all CGI to some degree. Yeah. I think they're swapped out at times. I think
sometimes they're CGI and sometimes they're not. You're right.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of both, or they had the animals as the stand-ins and run in place, but then they doctored them. So I think there's a bit of both going on: full CGI versus the animal and CGI elements. So with that, I think they were, again, just like you said, setting up the live action 101 Dalmatians, because what better way to do it? Look, we are the perfect candidates to love this movie, people in our age group, because this is a movie that we grew up with. It was the pinnacle of just fantastic films when we saw it in the 90s and early 2000s, even though this movie was made far before then. Those moments of getting us back to the theater, they couldn't just make a prequel cartoon. My wife and I discussed this, Aubrey. We said, why not just make a prequel cartoon? Well, I'm not going to go really see a cartoon, but I will go see Emma Stone, Academy Award winning Emma Stone, take on this evil character and see what happens. Absolutely. So the setup for the CGI character dogs, that threw me off a bit as well. I didn't talk about it in director's shoes, but I get it. And honestly, it was done well, because there weren't that many moments or that many shots of technical shots of the animals. I think it's great. I liked how Roger and Anita both developed. I didn't like where we started with either of them, but I really liked where we ended up with each of them. And seeing that move forward into that will be super exciting. This is Cruella. The beginning made me upset so much that it doctored my score hard. And I wish that someone would have raised their hand and said, listen, this doesn't make sense. The payoff's not big enough. That's why this comes down a little bit, but the style was great. Emma Stone was great. I'm going to give this a 6.0 out of 10 kernels.
Yeah. All righty. That is our review of Cruella. And like we said at the outset, you can catch this film on Disney Plus if you want to pay for the premiere access. It's we've done that multiple times. I think Kirk did it for this time.
I did.
I opted to see it in theaters. I think it's a good theatrical experience. If you're looking for that recommendation, I think it works. But it's not something that I think has to be viewed in cinema. It's not a Chris Nolan movie. It's not something big and epic and great, but I think it provides a really great theater experience, and I think you'll be pleased with whatever decision you decide to go. But definitely check it out if you haven't. Yeah, that's Cruella. And now we get to jump into a Schoolyard Pick, which I think will be intense, to say the least. Kirk gets our first pick here. It's the Schoolyard Pick of Disney villains. I want to lay the groundwork here, Kirk, and we didn't discuss this beforehand, so if we need to mulligan some of your picks, we can. What? Star Wars and Marvel are off the table here because we're talking Disney animation. I think Pixar is totally fine, obviously, but we're talking original Disney animation type things. We'll use that as the launching pad, and we'll leave Thanos and Darth Vader on the sidelines since they come from a different world altogether.
That's fair.
Sound good?
I'm with you.
All right, first pick is yours, my man. Go for it.
Oh, this one's so easy. Scar.
Dang it!
The Lion King.
Darn you. It has to be.
I didn't even have to think about this one. Your boy kills his brother just to gain power and starves everyone and then decides to try to kill his nephew. It's Hamlet. It's dark. It's dirty. Scar is just pure evil. Scar wins just like that.
Yeah, I love Scar. He's so awesome. Jeremy Irons, great performance there by him, and
Yes.
also I love Scar's motive. It's so deeply rooted. It's a motive that a lion would have. I don't know. It's so great. He's a
Yes.
brilliant character, truly brilliant. Great first pick. All right, my first pick. Oh man, this makes this harder. I'm going with Ursula from The Little Mermaid. I think Ursula is one of the
Darn
best
you.
from a character design standpoint. She looks awesome. She looks so realistic. And she's got some of the greatest songs of them all. Poor Unfortunate Souls is just
Oh,
an absolute bop. And like I said, the character design is on point. She's got the purple, she's got the black. It's a great aesthetic, a great feel. She's got an awesome, like, smoky timbre to her voice. I love it. And she's intense, man. She's like stealing people's voices. She's hardcore. She's pretty creepy, but she's also like one of those villains you can't help but love. And that's what I think is what's so iconic about the Disney villains. So it's Ursula as my first pick, hands down.
that is dirty of you. But I mean, I took
You
Scar.
took
So
Scar, which is like
so
the unanimous over number one pick for sure.
what can I say? What can I say? From here, it's like the funnel is Scar and Ursula. I don't know. Those are like the
Yeah.
pinnacle. And then you can just do whatever. I'm going to go super weird because this is a movie I haven't watched more than a handful of times. And the villain in this is absolutely terrifying. This is from The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Bro.
You've got, I can never pronounce his name right because I've only seen it once. Is it Claude Frollo or probably
Something
Frollo?
like that. Yeah, I don't know
Right.
exactly how it's pronounced.
Your boy in the 90s is singing a song called Hellfire and just like summoning fire from the fireplace, and he is just an evil dude. You know, we've got a essentially a person a person with disabilities that he's like, murder that fool. I'm going to take over the world. This town is mine. Claude Frollo is absolutely insane and mad with power. He's horrifying. He's absolutely horrifying, and he's my number 2 pick.
Yeah, I think he's the reason I have rarely revisited The Hunchback of Notre Dame since my childhood. It's terrifying to me. It just really was a scary movie to me. And I just can't handle it. I really can't.
You know, that movie itself is not very good. I remember watching it. I haven't watched it in a long time. I think that I'd want to revisit it because there's a musical of it, and the songs from there are incredible. Like, the music is really good. So I want to go back and watch it, and then somehow when theater comes back to life, I want to go see this if it rolls through our town, right? But I gotta revisit Claude Frollo because in my mind, he haunts me 100%.
I should say so, man. He is a really scary dude. Okay. For my second pick, just because I feel like it's going to come off the board and I want to get it picked before that. It's the woman of the hour, Cruella de Vil herself. I think for so many of these characters, it comes down to the aesthetic, and she is truly terrifying. That scene where she's driving the car and they zoom in on her face, and it's just like, like, terrified me as a kid. I also love, she probably says the word idiot like no less than 100 times in that movie, which is hilarious. It's an underrated word, and one that is, when used properly, is really funny, and she just nails it. So I'll leave it there. Cruella. She's a wicked one.
Beautiful. One thing we didn't talk about Cruella is that there are like these little wicked musical undertones, right? Like, I felt like we were watching, her rationalization, her journey, and we fed right up into it, just like Wicked does, which I love that model. I really do. It wasn't exactly like that, but it gave me some of that vibe, those vibes right there. So very cool. My next one, Mr. Jafar. Mr. Jafar, all mine are power. I mean, obviously all villains are power hungry, but specifically these dudes are like, there's nothing else they would rather have at the end of the day. They would literally just cast aside anything strictly to get whatever powerful gem or magic is or throne is in front of them. So Jafar, multiple. he wants power. He wants to become a genie. He wants the throne of the Sultan. He wants Jasmine. The creepy vibes, of course, come into this because like you get to the end of Aladdin, and he is like, he puts Jasmine in that makes her into a slave, basically. Like, he is dark. Like, do not mess with this man. he's sadistic, evil, cruel, one of the top villains because he makes you cringe at the things he does and says.
Yes, Jafar, man. And he ends up paying the ultimate price for his lust for power.
That's right.
Phenomenal cosmic power. You live in space. That's what happens. Dude, scary. Also, the snake that he turns into, bro. Let's see how snake-like I can be. Like, seriously, haunted dude, forever.
And even scary on the Sega Genesis version where you're where you're playing that thing's like dodges at you, running away.
Yeah, it's seriously terrifying. Okay. What am I on, 3? Yeah, that was your third pick.
Yep.
All right, I'm going to go weird because I want to make sure that we put some respect on this particular evildoer's name. It's Yzma. Yzma from The Emperor's New Groove. Oh, my word. I love Yzma. I think Emperor's New Groove is one of the most underrated movies in the Disney catalog. I love the story behind that movie, how it like never should have been successful or good, and it was moderately successful and has become a cult classic and is a very good movie, very funny. Yzma is an all-time villain. Her and you can't talk about Yzma without talking about Kronk because the way that they play off of each other is absolutely hilarious. And just the fact that they keep making jokes about like how old she is and like how decrepit she is throughout the whole thing is hilarious. And she is just a downright savage. Also, the icing on the cake is she gets turned into a tiny, adorable kitty cat at the end of the movie and has like a really high pitched like helium voice. And she's saying all these like super sinister things as this evil cat. Man, it's so good. Yzma is an all timer. She deserves to have her name etched among the greats in the Disney villain Mount Rushmore or whatever. But she's way up there for me.
Yeah, and she really is dark. Like when we talk about these villains, the villains that like make you like really there's a movie is not good without a good villain. It's just not. Whether it's hyperbole and a Disney movie, or it's like a thriller. Bad villain, bad movie. Done. Enzo. That scene where she's trying to poison Cusco at the dinner table, it's all super dark. Like the lead up before that when they're in the lab and right there at the dinner table where she's like going at it, and then he passes out, but they're like, give him more, like the whole thing is
whole movie is her trying to actually kill him. Yes. Like with anything that happens to be around. Like at one point she tries to stab him, she tries to like throw him off of the cliff. Like there's endless ways, but her only goal is to murder Cusco.
It's incredible. I applaud your choice there. I really do.
Thank you.
So talking about more villains here. So I've got 2 left. Is that right?
2. Yep.
I'm going to go Mother Gothel from Rapunzel, or Tangled, if you will.
Great.
Your girl, gaslighting queen right here. Big, but with the dumbest flaw ever in that she told Rapunzel the day of her birth. Like she gave her actual birthday because that's what happens with these villains. They're so prideful. They think nothing can stop me. I'm invincible. Yeah, your birthday is the same day as those silly lanterns. Congratulations. I'll be by then. Mother Gothel, she is horrifying. You get her under that candlelight, you see her eyes, and it's really, really scary. And then she like beats up those two, the brothers, the twins that are after Flynn Rider too, like just takes them down by herself. Like she is a beast that I do not want to tango with. Mother Gothel for the win here.
Yeah, you don't want to meet her in a dark alley. That's a fact. She's horrifying. All right, I'm looking at the board here, and between the two of us, we've got 3 total picks left, and some big names are going to be left off the board for sure.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do honorable mentions because I think some people are going to get mad. But listen, we got to go with our heart here. This is tough. I think I'm going to go Gaston. I think.
Okay.
Gaston is excellent for every possible reason. He is so self-absorbed. He has an impeccable singing voice and has incredible songs. It's time to take some action, boys. It's time to follow me. It's just so epic. He has that song. He has the Gaston song, where he just flexes his vocal muscles there. And who was it? Luke Evans, who played him in the live action film. Yep. Incredible singing voice on that guy. Just like remarkable. It's perfect casting. So a lot of times it does come down to the songs, and also the fact that Gaston was like ready to tangle with the Beast, who is like ginormous, and the Beast like had his guard down and stuff like that, but Gaston was like ready to throw hands, and he came after him. So you got to give him credit. I mean, that's tenacity. He's not one of these villains who's just like all talk. He was ready to throw down, and he just about got the job done. Ended up paying the ultimate price. Rest in peace. But he is a great villain. Really great.
Rest in peace.
One of the best. Really one of the best.
Oh my goodness. Yes. My final pick is going to go to a more modern. A lot of these are from our nostalgic childhood. But man, this next character is very, very good at what he does. Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Syndrome, yes.
Yeah.
Good one.
Wronged as a child by Mr. Incredible himself, cast aside, not given the time of day or respect that he deserves. This is someone who is fascinating because he then got his education in villainry and decided, I'm going to destroy everything and everyone, make people love me, manipulate them, and then take them down. So pretty fascinating. Syndrome has always been an exciting character for me, and I think that he will continue to live in infamy as one of the best.
Yeah, he's got a great origin story. I mean, truly an excellent origin story, and he just follows it all the way through. You got to give him credit. All right, my final pick. Man, there are some big names on the board, Kirk. We're gonna have to honorable mention it up. There are some big names, and I'm about to leave more big names on the board because I think I'm going with a bit of an unconventional final pick here. I'm going with Sid from Toy Story.
Yes.
Because Sid, dude, is just horrifying, and the way that he ends up going down and the so play nice that Woody has to do is an epic finish and a great final blow to a villain that just like reduces him to a tiny child like he is. It's so awesome. But he is truly sinister and feels like someone that all of us knew growing up, where you're like, man, I do not trust that kid. He's wild. He's the pyro. He's like doing weird things to toys. I don't know. But he's awesome. Sid is an awesome villain and truly scary, even though he's like a 13-year-old kid or something like that. Probably even younger. He's intense.
Beautiful choice.
All right. So there's our picks. We're going to definitely take this one to social media. I can't remember. I think you're on tomorrow, but I'm going to come up with a graphic that shows our 5 and then ask people for their 5 because we left some big names on the board. Should we do honorable mentions?
Go ahead. Let's do it.
All right. I'll fire off a bunch. And if I don't cover them, then let me know. Maleficent, obviously, from Sleeping Beauty. Prince Hans of the Southern Isles, man. That twist, in Frozen, that's a doozy. That's a doozy deluxe and a good one. Hades from Hercules, which is obviously like so many people's favorites, but Hercules is just like not a movie that's close to my heart. It wasn't in my rotation as a kid, so I couldn't pick him. Shere Khan from The Jungle Book, Prince John, who is a hilarious villain from Disney's Robin Hood, Captain Hook, of course, Pete, big fluffy Pete, he's been around since pretty much day one and continues to be a villain on and off. And then Randall Boggs from Monsters, Inc. was on there as well for me. What else do you have, Kirk? Any I missed?
We mostly had the same list. Did we say the evil queen from Snow White?
Nope.
Gotta have her. Gotta have Cinderella's stepmother. She's an evil, you know what. And everything else, I had the exact thing name for name on here. Oh, I don't remember his name. Is it like the guy from Pocahontas who just kills everything in his path?
Yeah.
Is it Ratcliffe?
Yeah. Ratcliffe, right?
Is it Ratcliffe? Okay.
I think so. Like Colonel Radcliffe or something like that.
Yeah, he's a monster. He's an absolute monster. So all those and more. If you guys have some other villains up your sleeve, things that have tormented you as a child. I know that Sid was really torturous for my son Asher, who's 7.5 now. He could not watch the end of Toy Story for quite some time because you got to Sid's room and he's like, "What is wrong with this kid? I'm not. I'm not doing this." So, yeah. Governor Radcliffe, thank you, top fan Jackie Hefner Wiggs. We appreciate you.
She's as Disney as they come. I knew she would come rescue us there. But yeah, he's definitely up there. Yeah, Sid, man, it's basically like you're watching the Stuck in the Middle with You scene from Reservoir Dogs when you go into that room with him. It's like so scary. It's the kid equivalent of that. It's like, oh God, what's going to happen in here? Oh, goodness. So scary. All right, well, that's our top 5. That's our Schoolyard pick. We will share out our list so you guys can appropriately roast our picks and tell us why we're dead wrong. I'm looking very much forward to that discussion. I think it will be a good one. But that's our show. It was a fun one. We got to review Cruella and talk about lots of fun things that are going on. We will be back at you next week. This time we know the movie we're reviewing. It's going to be A Quiet Place Part 2. If you haven't seen that, the first one, you can rent it on VOD, and you can also buy it. I got it for like $8 a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if that sale's still going on, but like, get it while it's hot, guys. It's a great movie. One that I think is going to be an iconic one for our generation. I think it's a big one, and we'll be checking out the sequel this weekend, fresh off of its $57 million opening weekend. So join us next week to chat about that. We are officially 1 week away, as of tomorrow, Wednesday, 1 week away from Loki. When that show comes out, we are going to be back in the spilled popcorn machine, giving you guys episode recaps, speculating on all the things that are going on with Loki and the larger Marvel Cinematic Universe. So we will get you all every bit of information you need about Loki and beyond whenever that comes on. As always, you can connect with us on Discord. We would love for you guys to join our Discord server. This is where we treat it basically like a group chat. We talk about movies, we share memes, we talk about recommendations. It's a great place if you're looking for new shows, get recommendations, laugh at some funny memes. If you love movies and TV, which I think almost everybody does, you got to join our Discord. It's a really good time. Also, we have a new email address, contact@popcorn4breakfast.com. You can reach us there if you have questions, feedback, anything. Just reach out to us and we'll get back to you there. Other than that, thank you so much for being with us. As always, we are going to play the show out with our original music by the band Rhetoric. You know those guys. You know the name. You know the music. It's incredible. Go check those guys out on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. And thank you to our executive producer, Ryan Spriggs. As always, we will catch you guys next week.
Talk to you then.
Bye.